On November 21st, 1983, Nicole and Brianna Garcia were born just 16 minutes apart. Which twin was born first? Keep watching. Despite all the glitz and glamour they would eventually earn, the twin sisters had humble beginnings. They grew up on a farm outside of Scottsdale, Arizona, but had a rough upbringing. Because of that, Nikki and Brie were drawn to their first passion, soccer. They had played throughout their school years and even into college. While they liked soccer and being athletes, it didn't completely fulfill the twins. That's when Brie took notice of wrestling and how it combined sports and entertainment. After finding out about the Divas Search contest, Brie knew this was her shot. She tried out by herself, but the producers told Brie that they wanted her sister to try out too. Nikki got on board, and despite both twins being 100% ready to be wrestlers, they didn't get picked. However, a year later, WWE signed both sisters and had them start training at WWE's development system, FCW. Nikki and Brie were given the name the Bella Twins and literally learned the ropes. Finally, after a little over a year of training, the Bellas were ready for WWE. On the August 28th, 2009 episode of Smackdown, the first Bella made her debut. Brie's opponent was the veteran Victoria, and, as expected, the two-time women's champion took Bella down within seconds. Brie fought right back though, and tried to end the match quickly with a roll-up, but no luck. Victoria then responded with the backbreaker, but Brie Bella kept the fight alive. But honestly, better than what I expected. We've seen plenty of matches where someone with limited experience gets thrown into a match before they're ready, and it ends in disaster. Of course, having Brie Bella working with someone experienced like Victoria was a huge factor as well. Overall, a good start, and things get interesting over the next few months. Brie continued to feud with Victoria, as well as Natalya. The same thing would happen where Brie would crawl into the ring, and after getting pulled out, she easily got the win. Finally, about 2 months after Brie's debut, we would finally figure out what was going on. In November 2008, Brie was having a rematch against Victoria, who was accompanied by Natalya. Unlike the first encounter, she didn't need to go under the ring to win. Despite that, Brie called under the square. Carlito and Primo would take notice of this, but we'll get to that in a moment. 2 weeks after Nikki's official debut, she would have her first match, as well as the Bella Twins' first tag team match, when they took on Natalya and Victoria. Nikki and Victoria started the match, with both women trying to gain the early advantage. Bella won the battle thanks to an arm drag and then tagged in her sister. Brie couldn't keep the momentum going though, and Victoria switched with Natalya. Brie wasn't a pushover though, and fought back with a slap to the face. Victoria got a cheap shot, which caused Nikki to go ballistic on her opponent. However, the momentum of the match had completely shifted. Victoria tagged in and began punishing Brie. However, some fast thinking allowed Nikki to get back into the fight. Nikki unloaded on both Victoria and Natalya, but it wasn't enough to save Nikki from a widow's peak. However, Brie had her sisters back and performed a bit of twin magic to roll Victoria up and get the Bella Twins their first tag team victory. This was another short match, but it was honestly for the best. Victoria and Natalya both made the Bella Twins look really good. The match wasn't really anything special, but Nikki and Brie having their unique gimmick was all it needed. Around this same time, Nikki and Brie would be part of their first real storyline. They started a romance with the previously mentioned Carlito and Primo and would accompany them to their matches. This would eventually lead to a love hexagon when The Miz and John Morrison started butting heads with the Colognes. The two tag teams would even have a match, with the winners getting a Valentine's date with the Bellas. The rivalry got so heated that it even caused the twins to turn on each other. During a confrontation, Carlito and Primo accidentally spat in the face of Brie. Nikki began laughing, which caused Brie to save the Colognes, while Nikki joined Miz and Morrison. This led to Nikki and Brie facing off in a one-on-one match a couple of weeks later, which is also Nikki's first singles match in WWE. Thanks to some interference by John Morrison and The Miz, Nikki Bella got one over on her sister. The Bella feud was short-lived though, as the two reunited a few weeks later with not much of an explanation given. Nothing much would happen until July 2009, when they began a feud with Katie Lee. The Bellas defeated Katie a total of 3 times thanks to them using twin magic. After the feud, the Bella Twins didn't have a whole lot going. They spent the next several months primarily appearing in segments with the Raw guest hosts. The twins would further their wrestling careers in June 2010, when they began a rivalry with Jillian Hall. It started similar to the feud with Katie Lee, where both Bellas defeated Jillian via twin magic. The rivalry heated up when the Bella Twins were made special guest referees for an intergender tag team match involving Hall. During the fight, Jillian attacked both Bellas, causing Nikki to give her a fast count. The rivalry ended a week later when the Bella Twins beat Jillian Hall and Maurice in a tag team match, of course using twin magic to get the victory. Soon after, the Bella Twins would become part of the 3rd season of NXT, where they mentored Jamie. They were pretty bad mentors though, because Jamie was the first person eliminated. The next storyline was another romantic one. this time with Daniel Bryan. For weeks, Nikki and Brie would fight over Bryan's affection, forcing Daniel to be peacekeeper between the sisters. In early 2011, the twins would discover Bryan kissing Gail Kim backstage. They attacked Kim and started a rivalry with her, assaulting the former women's champion on several occasions. This led to a 6-woman tag team match where the Bellas teamed with Melina to take on Kim, Tamina, and Eve Torres. However, even Twin Magic couldn't get Nikki and Brie the win this time. However, the rivalry morphed into something bigger. The next week, the Bellas attacked Eve backstage, who was also the Divas champion. Natalya and Gail Kim came to Torres' aid, which led to a tag team match the next week between the Bellas and Eve and Gail Kim. This time, the twins picked up the win. Soon after, Nikki won a battle royal, making her the #1 contender for the Divas championship. Nikki and Brie, of course, tried to switch places, but the referee actually caught them this time. Because of that, Nikki ended the night without the Divas title. The Bellas continued to stay focused on Eve, and in April 2011, Brie would get her shot at the gold. Torres was actually really smart and had the referee draw an X on Nikki to distinguish her from Brie. It unfortunately didn't work though, as a distraction was still enough for Brie to get the win and become the Divas champion. Afterward, it took over a month before Brie would have her first title defense. Her opponent was Kelly, whom Brie was able to defeat. About another month later, Brie had her second defense, and, thanks to fan votes, Kelly was selected as her opponent again. However, thanks to a fast roll-up, Kelly was able to defeat Bella and end Brie's title reign at 70 days. Brie got a rematch at Money in the Bank 2011, but the result remained the same. For the next several months, things stayed pretty quiet for the Bellas. They would still appear on TV, but weren't really part of any storylines or championship matches. It wouldn't be until early 2012 that something happened. Both sisters would lose back-to-back matches against AJ Lee. This created friction between the sisters. As it turned out, the two were on opposite sides in the Battle of WWE General Managers at WrestleMania 28. Brie supported John Laurinaitis, while Nikki was on Teddy Long's side. Despite this, and the fact that Team Johnny would win, this didn't have any long-term effects on their sisterhood. In fact, Brie actually helped Nikki win her Divas Championship match against Beth Phoenix in April 2012. This meant that Nikki got to walk into Extreme Rules as champion. While she was supposed to have a rematch with Phoenix, Beth was not medically fit to compete. Instead, Layla made a surprise return and challenged Nikki. Unfortunately for the Bellas, Twin Magic did not work, and Layla ended Nikki's first championship reign in just 6 days. Nikki got a rematch a day later, which only lasted 11 seconds. Even more bad news would come as the executive administrator, Eve Torres, fired both sisters shortly after the defeat. Apparently, the real reason was that the Bellas didn't like the way women were treated in WWE at the time, which caused them to not renew their contracts. While the future did seem bright for the twins, things would change very soon. Speaking of bright, summer is almost here. What's the best way to protect your eyes? Well, probably regular visits to your eye doctor, but also Shady Rays, the sponsor of this video. Shady Rays sunglasses give you clear optics to keep your peepers safe while still being able to enjoy the outdoors. Plus, they are built to last with durable frames and premium polarized lenses. Shady Rays stand by that as well. If you lose or break your pair of glasses, even on day one, they'll send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. That's what really attracted me to Shady Rays. I'm not a big glasses shopper, so I want something that would look good, feel good, and last me a long while. Something else I like about Shady Rays is the deal they have for you. Right now, when you buy one pair of Shady Rays, you'll get a second pair free. Just go to shadyrays.com/tapout and use code TAPOUT. Plus, if you're not satisfied, you can exchange your Shady Rays for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. The summer is heating up, so don't delay. Get your pair of Shady Rays today. Speaking of heating up, about 10.5 months after they left WWE, the Bellas would return. In March 2013, Nikki and Brie came back, aligning themselves with Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow. That same week, the sisters attacked Naomi and Cameron backstage, starting a rivalry. Overlapping with this, Cody and Sandow were feuding with Brodus Clay and Tensai. In their first match back, Nikki and Brie took on the Funkadactyls and won, thanks to interference from Cody Rhodes. They would have a rematch on Raw that the Bellas also won, but the twins' first defeat since returning would happen the night after WrestleMania 29. In an 8-person tag team match, Nikki and Brie teamed with Sandow and Rhodes to take on Tons of Funk and the Funkadactyls. The Bellas lost the fight, but the rivalry wasn't over. The Dactyls and the twins kept having matches over the next few weeks. At the same time, Nikki and Brie would quietly separate from Cody and Damien. things got a little derailed when Nikki fractured her shin, which forced Brie to handle the in-ring action for the Bella Twins for a few months. Around this time, WWE debuted a new reality TV show called Total Divas. Nikki and Brie were featured heavily on the series, and because of its popularity, this influenced the women's storylines in WWE. It started with Brie having a feud with Natalya, who was also on Total Divas. They traded victories, with Natalya beating Brie at SummerSlam, while Brie got 2 wins on Raw. However, the enemies would become allies when the Divas champion, AJ Lee, began making fun of the female wrestlers on Total Divas. This led not just Brie and Natalya, but all the Total Divas to team up and try to take out AJ. They got their opportunity at Night of Champions 2013, where Brie Bella fought Naomi, Natalya, and AJ Lee in a fatal 4-way match. However, Brie, nor any of the other Total Divas, were able to dethrone AJ. Brie got 2 more shots at AJ Lee at Battleground and Hell in a Cell, but neither were successful. During all that, Nikki Bella returned to join the fight, which had now morphed into an all-out war, as the Total Divas fought the True Divas, the women who weren't on Total Divas. This set up a 7-on-7 elimination match at Survivor Series, where Nikki and Brie fought alongside their Total Divas co-stars. The Total Divas won, and cemented their victory one night later by defeating the True Divas again in a rematch. This rivalry more or less continued for the rest of 2013 and into 2014. The Bellas' opponents would always be non-Total Divas wrestlers. Things wouldn't really get interesting again until WrestleMania 30, when Nikki and Brie were part of a 14-woman battle royal for the Divas Championship. AJ won and retained her title. However, the Bellas weren't done with AJ yet, but they went their separate ways for a while. Also at WrestleMania 30, Brie Bella's real-life husband, Daniel Bryan, won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Soon after, Bryan became injured, and Stephanie McMahon used her authority to give Bryan an ultimatum: either relinquish the championship, or Brie would be fired. Brie decided to make the decision easily, and she quit, while giving Stephanie a slap on the way out. To get revenge, McMahon put Nikki Bella in several handicap matches over the next few weeks as a punishment. Brie would eventually return as a fan in the crowd, but got into an argument with Stephanie. This prompted Steph to slap Brie, who did something smart and had Stephanie McMahon arrested for hitting her. To get Brie to drop the charges, Stephanie had her rehired, and the two agreed to face off at SummerSlam 2014. During the match, Nikki Bella came out, and it looked like she was there to support her twin sister. However, Nikki attacked Brie and helped Stephanie McMahon win the match. The next night, we got some answers. Nikki explained she felt betrayed when Brie quit WWE. Brie tried to reconcile with her sister, but Nikki slapped her instead. The twins would officially become enemies after this and got into fights each week. Additionally, Stephanie declared Nikki Bella the face of the women's division and gave her a Divas Championship match at Night of Champions. Despite the big endorsement, Nikki couldn't get the job done and got tapped out by AJ Lee. Getting back to the Bella vs. Bella feud, Nikki and Brie decided to settle things at the next pay-per-view, Hell in a Cell. Not only were bragging rights on the line, but the loser had to be the winner's personal assistant for 30 days. Nikki won, and she kept the momentum going by winning Number One Contenders Battle Royal for the Divas Championship. The champion was now AJ Lee, and with Brie Bella by her side, Nikki got her title match at Survivor Series. Right after the bell rang, Brie kissed AJ, allowing Nikki to hit the rack attack and win the Divas Championship in 34 seconds. The Bella twins were now back together. Why did Brie reunite with her sister after Nikki had been abusing her for months? Because that's what it said in the script. In a way, things sort of stayed the same. Nikki was the champion, and Brie acted as her henchwoman. This helped keep the Divas Championship around Nikki's waist for the rest of 2014 and into 2015. They continued to feud with AJ Lee during this time, which eventually led to a tag team match at WrestleMania. The Bella Twins took on AJ and Paige, with the latter getting the victory. AJ would leave WWE before the Bellas get the revenge, so they needed a new enemy. At the next pay-per-view, Extreme Rules, Nikki fought a new challenger, Naomi. Thanks to help from Brie, the master of the rack attack successfully retained her title. The feud wasn't over yet, as Naomi would get herself a tag team partner, Tamina, and the two teams clashed at Payback. Naomi and Tamina got the better of the Bellas that time, but the rivalry was just getting started. The next night, Nikki fought Naomi in a rematch for the Divas title. Interference by Tamina ended the match in a DQ, and things got even more chaotic when Paige returned and attacked both Nikki and Naomi. This set up a triple threat match at Elimination Chamber. Unfortunately for Nikki, Brie was banned, but despite this, she managed to end the night still holding the gold. Nikki would then solely focus on Paige, defeating her in 2 title matches. Both times, times, Nikki and Brie used twin magic, which was kind of funny because they now looked quite different. Around the same time, Nikki and Brie were joined by Alicia Fox to form Team Bella. This set them up perfectly for what was about to happen. In July 2015, Stephanie McMahon announced there was a revolution happening, and this led to the debut of Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte. Banks joined Naomi and Tamina, while Becky and Charlotte joined Paige. All three teams would face off at SummerSlam, with Lynch, Flair, and Paige coming out on top. Similar to the Total Divas vs. True Divas feud in 2013, the next few months were basically the three teams going at it in various tag team matches. At the same time, Nikki achieved a big milestone in September 2015 by becoming the longest reigning Divas champion after surpassing AJ Lee's 295-day record. The celebration was short-lived, however, as 6 days later, Charlotte Flair defeated her and Nikki lost the Divas championship. She had no luck either in her rematch at Hell in a Cell. At the same time, Nikki would injure her neck and be sidelined indefinitely. Brie stayed active on TV and continued fighting the war with Alicia Fox. For the last few months of 2015 and the beginning of 2016, it was more of the same. Brie competed against members of the different women's factions, sometimes in singles matches and other times in tag team matches. In February 2016, Brie got a big opportunity when she defeated the Divas champion, who was still Charlotte, in a non-title match. This gave Brie a shot at the belt at Fastlane. Unfortunately, twin magic was not an option, so Brie tapped out. In the aftermath, Brie began a rivalry with Lana after the Ravishing Russian said the fans only cheered Brie out of pity for having a bad husband. Brie didn't really like that, and this feud morphed into a much bigger one. Brie joined her fellow Total Divas castmates, while Lana joined the non-Total Divas. They fought it out in a 5-on-5 tag team match at WrestleMania 32, and, just like in 2013, the Total Divas had their hands raised. Nikki also returned after the match to celebrate with her sister and the other Total Divas. Following the big win, Brie would take a break from WWE. After a few months of no Bellas in WWE, fans would get a surprise at SummerSlam 2016. After Eva Marie no-showed a 6-woman tag team match, Nikki returned to replace her. Bella joined Natalya and Alexa Bliss and got the victory for her team. A month later, Nikki competed in a 6-pack challenge to determine the first SmackDown Women's Champion. Nikki got eliminated by Carmella, which sparked a feud between the two women. The two-time Divas champion got her revenge at No Mercy and TLC, where she defeated Carmella both times. During all that, Nikki Bella won a match against Natalya to become the captain of the SmackDown Women's team at Survivor Series. However, due to being attacked backstage by an unknown person, Natalya ended up taking Nikki's place. The mystery of who attacked Nikki was revealed about a month later by none other than Carmella. It turned out it was Natalya who had taken out Nikki. The reason for it was due to Natalya being upset at her downfall and jealous of Nikki's success. As 2017 began, Nikki and Natalya kept attacking each other until finally getting to go 1-on-1 at Elimination Chamber. The fight ended in a double countout, so they went at it again a week later on SmackDown in a Falls Count Anywhere match. During the battle, Nikki accidentally hit Maurice. This led Maurice to attack Nikki later on and give Natalya the win. This then kicked off a rivalry with Maurice, which eventually led to Maurice's husband, The Miz, and Nikki's boyfriend, John Cena, getting involved. Maurice made sure to rub in her marriage, as well as some other insults. The couples fought it out at WrestleMania 33, with Cena and Bella getting the win, which was also the first and only time Nikki won a match at WrestleMania. Afterward, Cena proposed to Nikki, but let's not go into any further detail. After WrestleMania, Nikki disappeared from WWE. Both she and Brie returned in January 2018 during the 25th anniversary of Raw, and made their in-ring return a few days later at the Royal Rumble. In the first Women's Rumble match, Nikki entered at number 27, while Brie entered at 28. They made it to the Final Four, where Nikki eliminated her sister. Nikki herself would then be the last woman eliminated by Asuka. The twins disappeared again until September 2018. They defeated Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan in their return match, and continued to feud with Liv and Sarah, as well as Ruby Riott, over the following weeks. Ronda Rousey joined the sisters to even the odds, and they came out victorious in a 6-woman tag team match. The teams had a rematch 2 days later, where the result was the same, except that Nikki and Brie attacked Rousey afterward. This gave Nikki a shot at Rousey's Raw Women's Championship at the Evolution pay-per-view a few weeks later. However, even with her sister by her side, Nikki could not defeat the baddest woman on the planet, and lost. The twins disappeared again following the defeat, and in 2019, they announced their retirement from WWE. But of course, in wrestling, retirement is just an extended break. In 2022, 13 years after they made their WWE debut, the Bella Twins would gear up for one final match. The 2022 Women's Royal Rumble had been going on for about 30 minutes when the buzzer rang for entry number 19.
Have to push that left leg over the...
Brie made her return and started throwing fists at everyone in the match. After a brief yes chant, Brie turned her focus to Natalya. Unfortunately, Natty turned the tables on Brie, but Bella managed to fight out of it. Brie continued to fight with Natalya, but then got double teamed by Natty and Liv Morgan. Mickie James indirectly came to Brie's aid, and Brie returned her focus to Natalya. The two fought in the corner until Mickie James got a hold of Natalya, giving Brie a breather. Once she was back on her feet, Brie Bella got into it with Mickie. Unfortunately, Bianca Belair joined James, but Brie was able to slip away and keep both her feet inside the ring. There was no rest though, as Rhea Ripley then decided she wanted a piece of Bella. However, the next entrant, Nikki ASH, came out and took Ripley's focus off Brie. The former Divas champion then returned to Natalya and tried to eliminate her. Brie's former ally, Alicia Fox, ran in to help Brie, but Natalya ended up taking Alicia out too. The ring was beginning to fill up and got more and more chaotic. In the mess, Brie Bella tried to eliminate Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, but had no luck. Just then, the next entrant came out. Nikki ran in, saved her sister, and then laid out Bianca Belair and Natalya. The sisters then teamed up to dish out more punishment and eliminated their former teammate, Alicia Fox. They then turned their attention to Liv Morgan, but were interrupted by Sarah Logan. The Bellas were briefly laid out, but quickly regrouped and eliminated Logan and did the same thing to Liv Morgan. The Bellas got smashed around by the next entrant, Lita, and laid low for a short while. Once they were back, Nikki and Brie decided to divide and conquer, but it didn't go too well. The twins eventually regrouped just in time for the return of their old rival, Ronda Rousey. Rousey quickly turned her attention to Nikki and tried to eliminate her. Brie was going to help, but when she had the opportunity to eliminate her sister, Brie took it. Probably revenge for Nikki turning on her in 2014. With one Bella eliminated, Ronda Rousey went after Brie. Brie scratched and clawed to stay in the ring, but she wasn't getting away. Rousey lifted Brie up, threw her out, and put an end to the Bella Twins' final WWE match. Royal Rumbles aren't the most desirable way to end one's in-ring career, but this one was pretty good. The Bellas lasted for a while, got to show off their personality, and actually made an impact. I even love the little callback to Team Bella with Alicia Fox. Sure, a tag team match would have been ideal, but considering the circumstances, I think this wasn't a half bad way to go out. Now, to answer the question, who is the older Bella twin? It's Nikki. Someone who's older than both the Bella twins is Batista. To see the Animals' first and last WWE matches, watch the video on screen.